Hey, 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 it is your girl, Coach T, and I'm back at you with another dynamic episode. My husband, Coach G, is out for the day, so you're just going to be kicking it with me. So, in case you are new to the show, I am a life coach, a motivational speaker, and author of the book Fed Up, Changed Up, Now What? Okay, which every chapter is about a different part of my relationship, a different guy I dated up until I meet the one. Then, because we don't want you to feel like after you get married, that's all the work you got to put in, we want you guys to know that that's where the work begins, and some of the things that took us up and down in our relationship. So we're transparent, we're keeping it real with you guys. So yeah, we wrote a book about it, so every time we come on, we're going to be discussing a different chapter in this series. Okay, so did I say my titles? Yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to think because last week we were on the chapter Green Eyes, Black Lies. So that chapter was about my very first actual boyfriend. Okay, not the first timer, not the first time I actually did the do, but the first time that I actually said, okay, this is my boyfriend, and he said, this is my girlfriend. So that was what we did last week. So this time is Zodiac, Maniac. What do y'all think that's about? Those who didn't read the book. Well, let's get into it. Because the first guy that I was with was my age, y'all remember, first timer that was a peer, basically. He was a little bit older in months, but we were peers. The second guy was a little bit close to my age, but a little bit older as well. So this time I go a little step over, okay? And I'm like, yeah, I felt like an older man would be better for me, okay? We're going to talk more on that later in another relationship when I dated the celebrity, what I found out as well. But with this one here, it was like I learned that everybody with gray hair is not wise, okay? First of all, everybody with gray hair is not wise. And they may have the things that make you feel like, okay, they're on their grown man, you know what? But honestly, the older men, not all, okay? Try not to get this microphone. Not all older men, okay? But the older men who still have that same game type of mentality, they just learned how to master the same game that them little boys play, you know? So let's move on. Me and my friend, we were on the chat lines. Now, for those of you guys that are not my age, chat lines, that was kind of the version of the DMs. That's where it went down at back then. So you pretty much call this 800 number and you leave like a voicemail, like an introduction voicemail telling this guy who you are. The guy would leave a voicemail telling you who he is. And if you feel like you can connect with that person, then you guys can connect privately. So that's what I was on. I was on this chat line. Man, my girl, she was up here lying, man. She was on there talking about she was 5'2", copying off of the Missy and Sierra song or whatever. She's like, I'm 5'2". She changing her voice. I'm over there cracking up, man. We had a good time. Because sometimes those who've been on them lines know sometimes you can actually have a really good conversation on there. It could be you and 10 other people in a party room, and you guys could be talking politics. Y'all could be, just shooting the breeze. Guys could be talking GTA, whatever the case may be. It was always something for everybody. But if you wanted to go private, you can just go to another room. So this guy, he just kind of strikes my attention a little bit. And, he's got his own crib. He's got his own car. He sounded relaxed. I didn't hear him say anything about sex because that was an automatic turnoff when a guy was already on the chat line recording things, talking about what he can do to you and stuff like that. He didn't talk about that. So I decide to hook up privately with him. Then I bring, some friends to go and meet him because anytime I met a new guy, okay, even if it was in person, when I would go out with a new guy, I want to bring somebody, or either we would meet in a public place like a restaurant where there's cameras, okay, for my own safety. So I just brought a couple of friends. I felt like it was all right for us to do that. We in there, we're strong and stuff. So we had a good time. He teaches me things about myself that I didn't know existed. Okay. He was big on astrology. Now I'm a church girl. So I'm from the Church of God in Christ. And we didn't get into astrology at all in church. So it was like, wow, he's expanding my horizons. He's teaching me something new. I get to his house, he pulls out this thick, 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 super thick book based on my signs. So he's teaching me. My girl is over there with his buddy, they're talking, but he's teaching me that I'm a fire sign. What do they say? I am a fire sign, something about the fire and the moon or something like that. And we're talking, and I was just like, wow. So that was how we had hit it off. Now, let's say maybe a few weeks go by, and he's talking about getting me this house, moving me out far away. And he wants this big house, he wants to start a family. He wants to get married. Y'all remember, I said when I was 18, since I was 18, like I've always fantasized at being a wife, becoming a mom, just living my life happy with my family, giving my kids what I didn't have. So I'm excited at this point. But this this coworker of mine, she was like, "Oh, T, you might want to be careful on that." And I'm like, "What you mean?" She like, "Yeah, he sound like he's trying to isolate you from your loved ones." And I'm saying, like, "What you mean?" She was like, so she starts telling me about her baby's father. He had actually kidnapped her and kept her in the basement for a few days, but she was able to escape. But he turned around and stole their child. And so even when she was telling me, her child was still missing at the time. And later on, like well after this relationship I'm talking about right now, well after that was over, she finally got her son back. So praise be to God for that. But she was like, those just sound like red flags. Now I was also telling her about him telling me some of this. Now pay attention, y'all, because this could potentially help you in your relationships or dating world. He said things like, because I had two jobs, all right, 18, but I had two jobs. And he was like, if you put your job before me, I will burn your check right in front of your face. I was laughing, y'all. I was cracking up, laughing, rolling, whatever. Because I'm like, don't nobody burn money. Are you serious? Like, and I'm not going to be controlled like that. So I was just laughing. His face did not laugh with me. His face did not change. Okay. He was very, 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 very serious. When he said that. So I was just really shocked about that. Another thing is, he told me that his baby's mom had a key to his house in case of emergency. So I asked a few people at work and a few people I know that had kids, because I didn't have no kids at that time. And I'm like, hey, do y'all give y'all baby mama or y'all give y'all baby daddy a key just in case of emergencies with your child? And they said, hell no, we don't. He's playing games. And I was just like, wow. But that was a red flag. So let's move it up a little bit. So I call him, he starts acting funny. Like the closer to me calling it quits, he started acting more and more funny. Like it used to be I could stay the night at his house whenever, and then I wasn't able to stay the night at his house. If I'm looking at magazines, he would get a little irritated. And I found out that's because the magazines had a woman's name on it. So obviously a woman stayed there. That's what my spidey senses was telling me. That's what my discernment was telling me. But if a woman stays there, how can I have stayed so many times, stayed over so many times before and it had not been a problem? Well, you guys, I found out she was a nurse. Y'all know nurses work, 12-hour shifts, sometimes more. So he would have our dates planned out on the nights where she had to, work, and then just make sure that I was out before she got back. But this was when it really got crazy. I called him, and one night he wasn't answering. Then he finally answered and said, hey, I got my guys over. And I'm like, okay, all right. So he's like, it's a guy's night. I call him again. He says he's at the hospital. So I'm panicking. I'm freaking out. I'm like, is he okay? I'm like, are you cool? He like, you nosy. And I'm like, but you just told me that you're at the hospital. So he hangs up. We get back on the phone again, all this hanging up and calling back and all this. So he tells me that he had just seen his son being born. My heart just dropped. And I honestly thought that was a lie. I thought that was just a way of him just, I don't know, pulling my leg, telling me he didn't really want to be with me like that, because he did little head games, little mind games and stuff like that before. So, but never did he ever say, well, I just watched my son being born. I didn't believe him. So one day I come to his house to talk to him. I did not get out the car. He comes outside with a little bitty, tiny, beautiful little baby wrapped up in a blanket. He was telling the truth. Okay. So this guy had, if you want to read the full story, you guys need to just go and get the book, Fed Up, Changed Up, Now What? But that's the basis of it. And I just wanted to let you guys know, once again, when you start seeing those red flags, when something within you is saying something is off, something is not right, pay attention to that. Okay, because that is, it's trying to tell you something. Do you know how many times, how many women have been unalived by these situations? Yeah, excuse me, because you can't have big and dry lips, okay? But do y'all know how many people have been shot, hurt, going through unnecessary drama because somebody was being untruthful? If you know that you have dealings with somebody else, especially if that person stays at your house too, you need to get that situated first. I mean, I would say to let the other person know, but at that point it's too late. If you're still involved with somebody like that, I don't think you should be dating. I don't think you should be dating anybody else until you get your stuff in order. Because that could have been a whole nother misunderstanding. Like, what if that woman would have walked in on me and him doing something? What if she decided to react first, think last? It's a possibility. That's why I always say God really kept me. He really kept me to be here to tell the story, because I had been in some crazy situations looking back. Crazy situations that when you would listen to like a thriller show, or, one of them forensic shows or something, somebody went through a similar situation, but they didn't make it. And their family and the law has to tell their story from beyond the grave. You feel me? So, man, like, I've been really blessed. And that's why at one point I was getting a little concerned, a little like anxiety about my children, getting older, when it's time for them to start dating and stuff. But I have to believe that the same God that protected me from the chaos is the same God that's going to protect my babies. And sometimes I just didn't listen. Sometimes I just didn't listen to that inner discernment that God gave me. Some things I got burnt, but I would say mostly my emotions got burnt. I did get involved into a physical altercation maybe 2 times in a relationship, but mostly, like I said, my feelings got burnt. Because all I wanted was marriage, children, happy life together, good career. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be a background singer, and just do that, eat together, laugh together. It could all be so simple. Isn't that what Lauryn Hill said? It could all be so simple. Y'all remember that song? But you rather make it hard. She was telling the truth. It don't have to be complicated. But I'm gonna tell you something. When somebody does not want you, when somebody does not care for you the way that you care for them, you owe it to yourself to get up and walk away. Because there is somebody for you, okay? There is somebody for you. So in the back of the book, we have a little workbook area for everybody, if you want to write down your notes or something like that, something that you reflect on. I'll show you. So we have a little area And we talk about the lessons and the blessings. And so the lesson is to do your research with your eyes wide open. Know what you're getting yourself into prior to the first date. Keep God in the center of your choices, and everything will come together. Do not do all the talking, okay? Learn how to listen. Yeah, so when I would hear those red flags or feel them in my spirit, I would talk over it. In conversation with him, mostly I would just talk over it. I didn't actually sit back and really reflect and think like, what did he just say? Or what does this mean? Or ask those probing questions like, did you really mean you'd burn my check? You know, um, is there a reason why she has a key to your home? And I mean, that's what 911 is for. And I think I did say something like, man, that's what 911 is for. But I didn't, kick it to him at first because I felt like I don't have no kids. I don't know. But then when I found out, I still would act like I didn't hear certain things or see certain things, but the signs were all there. So even if you're reasoning with yourself, you're reasoning with the discernment or whatever, like, don't do all the talking. Sit back and actually absorb what just came into your ear gates. Sit back and absorb what just came into your eye gates. What did you see that was quickly covered up? Because I don't care what nobody say. God ain't going to lead you to no mess. Okay, he's not going to lead you to no mess where you just blindfolded. He's not communicating with you. He didn't tell you anything. He didn't, he didn't allow or activate Holy Spirit to get up in there and intercept or intervene or tell you something. Like, it's not real. That's not how it happens. You have discernment from the very first time you speak to that person and talk to that person. But this is why you got to get more of a relationship with God, because you can confuse yourself. You can say, well, the last man did me like this, but I don't want to keep thinking that every man is doing this. So I'm going to give this the benefit of the doubt. Maybe what he did was different than what the other man did. And, all this nonsense. God is not the author of confusion. He's not. And if you are confused, you need to cool your heels for a minute. You need to sit back, relax, and really reflect on that thing, because things can arise out of relationships, feelings. You know how we are, ladies, with our hearts, especially when it's a guy that we really feeling and we think we have a future with. Babies. And it's unfortunate that some babies get mistreated because of who their mother or who their father is. But that baby is always going to be a representation of something you used to have with that person. And what if that person is not a stand-up parent? I'm talking about the ladies too. There's some crazy baby mamas out here too, y'all. It is what it is. There's a lot of things. The list goes on and on. So we need to really be thinking before we decide to lay down with somebody. See, that's why I think, people want to say Christianity is boring. But this is why I believe that sex is for marriage, because now, and we're talking about the right marriage, because there's be people that they be ready to come back and be like, well, some of these marriages are trifling too. That is true. But some of these relationships are trifling as well. But check this out. God didn't hook everybody up. Some people hooked themselves up because they were tired of waiting, because they were ready to knock their rocks off, or whatever you want to call it, because they wanted to have a boo. And this is why we can't judge anybody. We can't judge the woman that has 3 different children and 3 different baby fathers. Because honestly, can you imagine how many of us would have became parents to children that, like, we didn't want to become a parent with that person? Just imagine if every time we slept with somebody, we were automatically going to have a baby. How many babies would you have? I don't even want to talk about how many babies that I would have, because the book is a portion, of the guys I dated. A couple of guys didn't make the book. Not to say that I was just out there, but I had more than one partner. I had more than 5. So if you've got abortions, you got pills, Plan B pills, you got abortion, you got birth control, all these things that could prevent or cover up your pregnancy. So don't look down on somebody else. I just thank God that I did not get pregnant, you know, before marriage. I thank God, because I probably would have been really, really, really crazy had I had to deal with one of those men that I was messing with. All right, so let's get ready to wrap up. So one of the scriptures that I quote in this book here in the back of this chapter is, I got 3 of them, but the mouths of the righteous utter wisdom, and their tongues speak what is just. That is Psalms 37 and 30, the NIV. Let me see, is that the one? Not as unwise, but wise. Make the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to read this one too. This is Ephesians chapter 5, 15 through 16. It says, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. I know a lot of people want relationships, and that is fine. But I want you to make sure that your relationship with yourself is right first, and that your relationship with God is right. Do you understand? You and God first over everything, because He's going to be the one to lead you to the right person. If you're in something that you want to get out of, He's the one that's going to help lead you out of there. Because sometimes we moved a little bit too fast and found out, we got in a little too deep. Every opportunity, let's use these opportunities that we feel so bored and so tired and so this, and let's use those opportunities to tune up with God and to tune up with ourselves. Because like the word says, it's evil out here. And the enemy don't care nothing about your feelings. The enemy don't care nothing about how many females that's wrecked your heart in the past. The enemy don't care about how many men wrecked your heart in the past. He don't care about that. He's heartless. And hear me when I say this. Somebody is, and I can feel it right now, as you begin to watch this, somebody is at the point to where they're feeling like giving up, taking their own life, because the relationships just keep not working. And I want to tell you, don't you dare take your life.